You ever feel like your brain just won't shut off? Well, today we're going to dive into something called the cognitive tax, this hidden cost that often comes with a super analytical mind.
All right, let's just jump right in with a feeling that I bet a lot of you know really well. That feeling of a restless, always-on brain.
So let me ask you, does this sound familiar? You know, that constant hum in your head way after your workday is over. Maybe you're trying to just relax and watch a movie. Or worse, you're trying to fall asleep and your mind is just going. It's like your brain just doesn't have an off switch, right?
Yeah, if you're nodding right now, you are definitely not alone. We're talking about that non-stop stream of thoughts. The mental chatter that makes sleep feel like a total battle. And of course, the exhaustion that comes with it. It's that automatic habit of just analyzing everything, from a conversation you had yesterday to the plot holes in a movie you just saw.
So, what is actually going on here? Is this just, overthinking? Well, it turns out there's something a bit deeper, something more fundamental at play. And that brings us to our first big idea, cognitive depth. Now, this is really important. It isn't just about thinking a lot. It's about how you think. It's this built-in, innate drive to process stuff really deeply, to look for complex patterns, and to always be asking, why?
Okay, so this cognitive depth doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's got a pretty powerful engine driving it. So let's peel back another layer, right? Let's look at the core mechanism that keeps that engine running. Sometimes it feels like 24/7.
And that engine, that mechanism is called continuous processing. The best way to think about this is like it's your brain's default setting. See, for a lot of people, their brain kind of powers down after a task is done. But for a mind that's wired with cognitive depth, the default mode is just on. It's constantly, and I mean automatically, analyzing information in the background, whether you want it to or not.
And this really shows the difference, right? You've got the always-on brain on one side. It's always analyzing, always looking for those deep patterns, and it really struggles to disengage. Then you've got the task-focused brain, which is great at just switching off when a job is done. And look, neither one is better than the other. They're like two different operating systems.
Okay, so if this deep, continuous processing is just a feature of a highly analytical mind, what's the catch? There's got to be a catch, right? Well, there is. And this brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, the cognitive tax. And here's the big reframe. This constant mental activity, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Or maybe it's better to say it's not a flaw, it's a byproduct. It is the cognitive tax that you pay for having a mind that's capable of such deep, complex, and intelligent thought. Let's just walk through how we get here, step by step. It all starts with that deep cognitive wiring we talked about. That wiring leads directly to continuous processing being the default mode, which, of course, results in that constant mental activity. And what's the result of that? Boom, you're paying the cognitive tax. So what does this tax actually feel like in real life? Well, I bet two things are going to sound very familiar. First, just that feeling of mental exhaustion, right? Even on a day when you haven't done much. And second, the classic struggle with sleep, because your brain just refuses to clock out for the night.
Okay, so we've laid it all out. The trait, the mechanism, the cost. But honestly, the most powerful part of understanding all this isn't just about diagnosing a problem. It's about what you do next with this knowledge. It's really about reframing this whole experience. Here's the thing I really want you to take away. Your restless mind isn't broken. It doesn't need to be fixed. That constant hum, that's the sound of a high-performance engine doing exactly what it was built for, to analyze, to connect dots nobody else sees, and to understand the world on a much deeper level.
There's this quote that just nails this whole idea perfectly. It really is a trade-off, isn't it? The incredible gift of seeing the world with so much more depth and complexity, well, it comes with the challenge of having a mind that's just always on, always observing, always processing.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important point. Think about it. You only pay taxes on something that has value, right? On an income, on an asset. We've spent this whole time defining the tax. So the real question, the real challenge, isn't about how to get rid of it. It's about how you're going to manage the incredible asset that's generating it in the first place. Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.